What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how you can catch a wet football. Let's get started. But before we get into this video, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you would like a daily training schedule to follow with over 500 plus wide receiver gym exercises and on-field drills that you can do, all broken down with the exact sets and reps to do, check out that very first link in the description below for our ultimate 8-week wide receiver workout plan. We give you 8 weeks of daily exercise, all sets and reps, everything mapped out for you to follow. So again, if you guys want an 8-week daily schedule, check out that very first link below. Let's get back to this video. Alright guys, the first thing I want to talk about is if you should be wearing gloves or no gloves when trying to catch a wet football, play in the rain, play in cold conditions. What's the best thing that's going to help you guys out? Now, honestly, I think this is a lot by preference. I know a lot of people out there have insanely sticky gloves that they feel they're very, very confident with when it's a wet football, and I get that for sure. Me personally, I would like to use my bare hands, and I'm going to explain to you why later in this video, because we're going to give you some kind of hacks that you guys can use in an actual game scenario or practice scenario when it has to do with a hand warmer, a towel, gloves, etc., that are going to make it easier to catch a wet football. But I want to talk about this because this is a common question that we get asked. Now, personally, I think when your gloves get just insanely wet, it's rainy conditions, right? You lose grip and you lose stick, and I feel like that ball is going to slip through my hands when I'm not wearing any, when I'm wearing gloves, right? When I'm wearing no gloves, I feel like I have a little bit more grip. It's easier for me to grasp onto that ball, and like I said, it's very important that you keep your hands dry, and we're going to teach you how to do that when the conditions are wet and rainy and miserable outside. But I would honestly say no gloves. It's a personal preference. If you feel comfortable with gloves, great. That's totally fine. Maybe it helps your hands stay warm. I completely understand that. But personally, I would say no gloves. Let's get into the rest of this video where we explain some different things you can do to help you catch that wet ball. All right, guys, so when you're going to be playing in the rain, all of you need to make sure that you take the steps necessary beforehand to prepare for it, right? So if you see that it's going to rain, you see it in the weather report, you're going to be playing in the rain, you're going to be practicing in the rain, something I suggest, or if you live in a state where it rains all the time, something I suggest getting is a hand warmer. And it's not to keep your hands warm. Yes, that's what a hand warmer is for. But when it is wet and rainy outside, all you need to keep your hands dry is a hand warmer and a towel. Now, a lot of times, wide receivers will wear the towel, in their pants, for it to look cool, have drip, as they say, but the towel's going to get soaking wet as you guys are playing in the rain, right? It's just how it is. It's just naturally how it is. So you go to wipe your hands on that towel, which is actually what it's for. Your hands are going to be soaked, and your hands aren't going to stay dry. It's going to be miserable because they're cold, etc. So something you can do is you get a hand warmer and you put your towel inside of the hand warmer. So now your towel's going to be able to stay dry. You could go all the way up to the snap of the ball with your hands in that hand warmer, drying off your hands. Ball is snapped, you're up, that ball's thrown to you, your hands are dry, and it makes it easier to clasp onto that ball. That's the whole reason why in that last clip that we explained is that I don't want you guys wearing gloves when it's rainy because I feel like it loses stick and it's going to slip. But if you keep your hands dry and that ball is thrown to you by doing the hand warmer and towel method, that ball's not going to slip through your hands. You'll be able to keep dry hands the entire time. So it's two simple things. You could use a dish towel if you want to. You don't got to buy a $50 Nike towel. You just need a hand warmer and you need a towel. Keep that towel dry in the hand warmer. Most hand warmers are waterproof, so your hands can stay dry and we can be more consistent when catching a wet football. All right, guys, so if you are, let's say you're a glove guy, right? Let's say that you wearing gloves is something that, makes you feel more confident when it's wet, rainy conditions. Your gloves don't lose a lot of stick. Maybe you have a lot of stick on the gloves, they're new, whatever it might be. You feel like you're not going to catch the ball if you're barehanded. You kind of rely on gloves a little bit. Totally fine. Something you can do when it's wet and rainy outside that's very, very beneficial is keeping your hands warm. I think the hardest part about catching in the rain and the cold is that when your hands get cold, it feels like a brick. The ball comes at you with some speed and it hurts your hands. That's honestly one of the toughest things. So to be able to keep your hands warm is highly, highly beneficial when having to catch a wet ball. So what you can do is you wear your gloves, but before you put on your gloves, I'm sure you guys have all been to the doctors before, seen a doctor's office on TV. You've seen those latex gloves that they put on their hands. Those are some of the best things that you guys can put on your hands underneath an actual glove, because that creates moisture in your hands, but it's not the moisture that's going to freeze because it's cold outside. It's like moisture from like if everybody rubbed their hands together for long enough, they'd probably create some moisture, right? That's what it's from, and that's going to keep your hands warm. Your palms are going to get sweaty, but your hands are not going to be cold, which makes it that much easier to catch when the conditions are wet or rainy and miserable outside. So if you are a glove guy, I highly recommend when it's raining outside to put a pair of latex gloves on. You might look dumb, but honestly, anybody that's ever tried it knows that that's one of the best ways to keep those hands warm. All right, guys, so now we can move on to the actual catch when that ball is wet. So you got to understand from a quarterback perspective, throwing a wet football is one of the toughest things that they can do, right? They're probably not going to spin it. It's probably going to be coming all funky off of his hand. Now, as a wide receiver, that's where hand-eye coordination ties in insanely, right? So your hands are dry. You're going to be able to catch the ball. You have to catch it, obviously, with your hands. It's tough when it's wet and you're letting it bounce off of your shoulder pads like so. You have to make sure that you are catching this thing with your hands, obviously. But your eyes have to catch this thing first. So something that can help you focus, especially when the conditions aren't the greatest, is focusing on something on the ball. What I've seen a lot of wide receiver coaches teach is like, oh, you want to take a photo of the ball when it hits your eyes. If that's a phrase that helps you, great. But something that could help you really force to look it in is try to find laces or spaces. Something I used to do when I would coach wide receivers at like a high school is every single day before we would even get into routes, before we'd even get into team practice, we would do our everyday drills. And that was me throwing to them like probably, I would say each guy probably got about 10 passes, right? I don't even know how my arm did that. But every time they caught a ball, they had to look it in and verbally call out if they saw laces or no laces. Right now, that's a drill that's gonna help you in any catching situation. Jump ball, low ball, diving catch, but also it's gonna help you when the conditions are poor. Anytime that I make a video about catching in the rain, catching a wet ball, you always get the people who are like, oh, just catch it. It's like, yeah, that's what you pretty much have to do, right? You have to catch the ball, but those things will tie into any single catching situation. So you gotta find something to do. Obviously in a real game scenario, you have guys trying to take your head off. You're not gonna be that guy that's able to catch it and go, okay, laces, and then go turn upfield and try to score. It's gotta be a habit. So getting in those habits when the conditions are good are gonna help you when the conditions are poor, wet football, rain, cold, snow, whatever condition that you are playing in. So just make sure, fellas, that you have a good habit that forces you to look the ball all the way in, and your drop passes will go down an insane amount if you guys can do those everyday type drills to work on that hand-eye coordination. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you would like a daily gym and on-field workout schedule that you can do to improve your skills, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you on that. I'll see you guys next time.